Okay, imagine this. You're fast asleep and suddenly you're woken up by a jolt. The whole bed shakes. You jump up, check on your family. An hour later, it happens again. And then again. Now, for the people living in San Ramon, California, this isn't just a one-off thing. It's become this unnerving, constant reality. So, what in the world is causing this town to never stop shaking? Let's get into it. That's a quote from Saif Hamid, a resident there, talking about a tremor that hit at 2 in the morning. You know, he said his kids, who were just 5 and 7, they thought it was kind of cool. But for the adults, it's a completely different story. It's this constant, unsettling reminder of these massive forces moving deep, deep under their homes. And this isn't just a feeling people are having. Oh no. Over just the last few months, seismographs have picked up roughly 300 earthquakes in this one little area. That's like several quakes a day, every day. It's this relentless series of rumbles that scientists call an earthquake swarm. So let's look at what's been going on. This swarm that's put San Ramon in the headlines has been active for a while now, but there was one recent jolt that really got everyone's attention. That was it, a 4.2 magnitude quake. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a huge earthquake, but it was definitely strong enough to be felt all across the Bay Area. We're talking windows rattling miles away in San Francisco. It even forced the entire BART transit system to slow way down for safety checks, causing a headache for thousands of commuters.
All right, so to figure out why this is happening, we've got to look underground. Because the culprit here, it has a name, and it runs directly beneath these communities.
And there it is, the Calaveras Fault. You can see on this map how it's a major branch of the infamous San Andreas Fault system, and it just slices right through the superpopulated East Bay.
So this fault is about 76 miles long, and it has this really unique kind of dual personality. It's what's called a strike-slip fault, which just means the two sides are grinding past each other horizontally. But here's the interesting part. Unlike faults that stay locked for hundreds of years, the Calaveras lets off steam in two different ways. It has sudden earthquakes, sure, but it also has this slow, constant movement called aseismic creep.
Now, that creeping behavior is the real key to understanding these swarms. And it turns out, what's happening right now in San Ramon, it's not new, not at all. In fact, it's part of a very well-known historical pattern. Just take a look at this timeline. You go back to 1970, and a swarm near Danville produced over 350 quakes. Then in 1990, another one near Alamo did pretty much the same thing. San Ramon itself has seen these swarms pop up in 2002, 2015, and here we are again. The big takeaway here is that this region has a long, documented history of this exact kind of activity.
So what exactly makes a swarm different from a, normal earthquake? Well, a classic event has one big main shock, right? And then it's followed by a bunch of smaller aftershocks. A swarm, on the other hand, is a whole sequence of a bunch of smaller quakes, but with no single clear main event. It's the signature move of these restless, creeping faults like the Calaveras.
So why do they happen? Honestly, seismologists don't have the final answer just yet, but one of the leading ideas is that they could be triggered by water or other fluids moving around deep underground. The thinking is that these fluids basically lubricate the fault, making it easier for these clusters of little slips to happen.
But here's where things get really cool. Recently, new technology has given us this absolutely unprecedented look at what's happening miles below our feet, basically turning a fuzzy picture into a super sharp, high-resolution image. For years, when scientists plotted earthquakes on a map, it just looked like this big, blurry cloud of data points. But what if you could sharpen that image? Well, by using some really advanced techniques that can precisely pinpoint the location of thousands of tiny earthquakes, scientists have done exactly that, and it's revealed the fault's hidden architecture.
And this is what they found. The shaking isn't random at all. It's actually organized into these things they call streaks and holes. The streaks are these tight lines of tiny quakes that show where the fault is actively slipping. And the holes? They're large, quiet patches where there's no shaking at all. Now, these holes mean one of two things. Either that section is creeping along smoothly, or it's locked up tight and building stress.
And here is the aha moment. This slide shows the data from the 1984 Morgan Hill earthquake. Now look at the areas with the highest slip, the parts in yellow and red. Notice how they line up almost perfectly with one of the biggest quiet holes. This is some powerful evidence suggesting that those quiet spots, those holes, were the parts of the fault that were locked, loaded, and ready to break.
This high-res analysis also revealed something else that's just astounding. Deep underground, the active part of the Calaveras Fault is incredibly thin. We're talking less than 75 meters wide. A massive tectonic plate boundary is concentrated into a zone that is narrower than a city block. It's mind-boggling.
So, of course, this brings us to the question that is on everybody's mind. With all this constant shaking, do these swarms mean a really big earthquake is about to happen?
Seismologists get asked this all the time. And while they're very clear that they cannot predict earthquakes, what they can talk about is probability.
So the folks at the U.S. Geological Survey have run the numbers. They say there's about an 18% chance of a magnitude 6.7 or larger quake on this part of the Calaveras Fault in the next 30 years. Now, to put that in context, the probability for the entire Bay Area fault system is 70%. So yes, the Calaveras is a significant threat, but it's also just one piece of a much larger, very active system.
And here's the consensus from the experts. Dr. Anne-Marie Baltai from the USGS puts it perfectly. She confirms that while they don't know the exact trigger for these swarms, the behavior we're seeing in San Ramon is, historically speaking, pretty typical for this fault. It doesn't automatically mean a big one is about to hit, but it is a very powerful reminder that the fault is very much awake and active. So, if we can't predict the next big one, and we know these little swarms are just a part of life in the Bay Area, then the focus really has to shift, from prediction to preparation.
And this is where you can actually take control. Make an emergency plan with your family. Build a go kit with water, food, and first aid supplies. Go around your house and secure heavy furniture to the walls. And sign up for local emergency alerts. These are simple steps, but they can make all the difference when, not if, the ground starts shaking for real.
Ultimately, living somewhere like the Bay Area means you have to live with the very forces that created all those beautiful hills and valleys in the first place. These constant little tremors are a reminder of that delicate balance. It's a question that's not just about geology, but about how we all choose to live with the awesome and, yeah, sometimes frightening power of our own planet.